Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming from today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn, I'm hosting today. We are live, so if you have any questions as we're rolling along, comments, we'd love to hear from you, so please don't hesitate to comment in chat on Behance or YouTube. But I am very delighted to be joined by designer Anika Aggarwal. Hi Anika, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Streaming on a Monday and you're streaming on a Sunday, so this is crazy.
This is new, but I love it because it's Holi. So happy Holi to everyone watching.
Yes, happy Holi.
I love this. I have eyes on chat and I see Alessandra there, and this is live. So if you have any questions, as Flynn said, make sure to put them in the chat. Hi, my name is Anika. Should I go ahead and introduce myself? Are we doing that now?
Please do. I'm also monitoring chat. So I'm like, if you see my head down and I'm doing this, I'm checking out chat.
Okay,
well.
awesome.
So, hey, what's up, chat?
No worries at
Please
all. I
introduce
totally get
yourself,
that.
Anika.
Hi, my name is Anika. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada, and we are live today to celebrate Holi. It is Holi today in all the Asia Pacific region. So if you are celebrating, happy Holi. And if you're celebrating and throwing a party, this stream is for you because we're going to be making Holi party invites, and this is applicable to you even if you don't celebrate Holi, because we're going to dive into Adobe Illustrator, we're going to dive into Adobe Express. There's going to be a lot of use cases that you can use even if you don't celebrate it, but if you do, it's all the more special because you can use templates that are available in Adobe Express. I want to dive into like my screen here, show where people can follow me if they do want to get in touch.
Let's do that.
I have my Instagram up here. That's just my Instagram, ANIKAAGG. You can follow me, send me a message. I'm usually very responsive, so if you have any questions after the stream, I'd be happy to answer. But without further ado, I actually want to jump into Illustrator because we only have an hour or like 50 minutes, I think.
Yeah, 55 minutes.
Let's do it.
52 left. The clock is ticking.
Oh, no. That just reminds me of a bad horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But the content plan for today looks something like this. I will try my best while Flynn and I chat over here to talk about all of these things. But just in case I miss out on something, I'll be sure to put them on my Instagram. We are going to be making like very few simple illustrations in Illustrator for those of us who are aware of the tool and don't just use Adobe Express or are professional designers. And then we're going to cover some fun tips here that I just like use in my daily workflow.
Nice.
So with like just a little tidbit of what flowers Holi uses, like typically you like tend to celebrate it with like chamomile flowers. And so today I just like want to use basic shapes and effects in Illustrator to actually make that kind of shape. So what I'm going to do is actually distort this shape and maybe use like a zigzag effect. And it's one of my favorites because you can actually smooth this curve out and change the sizing. All of it's like you can make it relative and absolute here, which if I actually zoom in, I'm going to zoom in so you can see it clearer. I go to effect, I go to distort and transform, zigzag, and then I go to smooth because I wanted to look like a flower shape almost, but I can't even imagine how much time it was going to take me if I did this by hand, and it won't even be perfect. So why not use the effects to do it? Like this is how the relative looks and this is how the absolute look. It's a very slight change, but you can actually tell that it's relative to like every ridge that you have there. So I'm going to say okay to this. And what I'm going to do is copy, Command C, Command F, paste in front, and then decrease the size and change the color to this. Now, this already looks like a flower, but I feel like I want like color steps in it. And the best way to do it again is to use blend. So select the two shapes, go to effect, go to object, blend, make. And you have one color again.
Awesome. This is also the third live stream in a row that the blend tool has come out for a different purpose. So I love the blend tool so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible. I love that. What were the other two ways? I'm curious.
The first one was to create like a retro looking gradient by putting like thousands of steps between type going on a plane. And I can't remember what the second one was, but it wasn't this.
We can go back. I have another way that I use blend tool with. So tell me two colors that you think like fall in the same, I don't know, spectrum. Maybe let's do pink and blue, right? Just to be easy with it.
Okay, great.
So we have pink here, and then I'm going to use like blue here, just because it makes like a beautiful gradient. Whenever I'm like struggling with color palettes, this is like an extra tidbit for folks watching. Whenever I'm struggling with like a color palette, I select two colors that I want like a color palette of, and then maybe I just want to use the center color and base like contrasting colors around my color palette off. I just get these two colors, go to object, go to blend, and go to make. And this just gives me steps between these. Now this has too many steps because it's on smooth color. But if I want specific number of colors in between these two colors, let's say 3, I'm gonna hit preview, and maybe I wanted this purple to begin with, but I do not know what hex value it was. This way I can find that, and now I can just like make an external shape and color pick that color here. So this is there. I delete this, I still have this color palette, and this just gives me like an opportunity to build my color palette around it, which I can do by like darkening it. Maybe I change the saturation a little bit, and these two already like form 2 colors of my color palette.
That's a great tip. I love that.
Yeah, that's how I use blend as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I often find it's difficult with the color picker to get it exactly sort of something between. I'll sometimes add a little bit too much of another color to it or something, and it just doesn't look right.
Yeah. It's funny. I showed that because I actually made this with the blend tool, like this color palette, because I wanted to have like, because chamomile flowers are actually orange in color, somewhat like this deep orange. And I wanted to have that variation in these flowers that I make. So I just color picked, like if I undo that, I just color pick this and then hold option on your keyboard or alt if you're on a PC. That's another tip, by the way. And put it in here. And I think that is super cool. And I want to do one more just to show you how it can look different. Maybe I want the outside. That's like a very cool combination as well. And then it's almost as if like a paper cut effect, which I actually really like. And then this. So 4 variations, same technique, 5 minutes in, and you already have 4 flowers here.
Yeah, that's great.
And maybe I think like this is super cool because you can make patterns out of it as well. I haven't tried to do that, but maybe we can do like something with this one. I think I like this one more. So typically the way that you will use, like people who do celebrate Holi and have seen something like this, or even if someone who doesn't, if you've seen like a string with flowers around it, almost like if you lay it down flat on the ground, it's like a circle or an oval, however the way you lay it down. It's like all of these flowers in like a radial format, which almost reminds me of object, repeat, radial, which I will have to expand this because it already has an effect on it. So let's do that first. Let's go to object, expand appearance, object, expand, and then click on OK. Now all of these are individual shapes. If I press Command Y, which is outline, you see the difference here. This has effects and this has 2 effects on it. First was the zigzag and then it was the blend. And this is now all shapes. So I can move it around here anywhere I wanted. Nice. But this just means I can go to object, repeat, radial, and then almost create that sort of like you lay it in an arrangement or something. Like this is a flower arrangement, and then you can put something over here like on top and like make it bigger and like almost like it was meant to be.
Yeah. Love that.
I love making designs like this just to like put me out of my comfort zone too, almost, which I would never create something like this because I'd be like, oh, these are interfering colors, maybe I shouldn't do this. But I feel like with this setting almost sort of like reminds me to like not be stuck in my ways sometimes.
Yeah, I think we all need that reminder.
Yeah,
be a little bit more playful and try different things.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that is like, I love that you said that because for Holi, it's like there are colors. We're celebrating the arrival of spring. We're celebrating the arrival of like fertile land for the harvest. And I feel like all of that really does like kind of like almost strategy almost where you're like, oh, maybe how can I implement this in my design? You know?
Yeah.
So
totally.
I love that.
Alessandra says, wow, this looks great. I agree.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. And Alessandra was saying she was playing around with Adobe Express today as well. So there you go. We will be jumping into Adobe Express as well today.
Yeah, shortly. Yes. Okay, so I'm just making this like almost like this is a musical instrument, and I know what it's called in Hindi, but I'm blanking on what it's called in English. But it's like a drum of sorts that you wear it on your body with like a thread attached to it on these 2 sides.
Oh.
And yeah, and you use it's like almost a drum set that you can wear. So like a portable drum set.
Sounds cool.
If that makes sense.
I don't know if I've seen one of them. Or what's the name in Hindi?
It's called dhol or dholak. DHOL. If you look it up, that might give you something. But I'm totally blanking on what it's called in English. It's just one of those things. But again, I'm using the repeat grid just because I wanted to create this fun pattern for the design here. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then I'm just going to copy that on the other side. Now, I don't care about this being perfect because it's only going to be on an invite, and this is not going to be blasted up to be on a bigger scale thing. So I don't care about it as much. But if I were to print it out and I was thinking about that and like making it large scale, I would actually go ahead and think about the details. But this is just going to be on like an A4 size sheet or like a digital template, which we're going to jump into like very, very soon here. So yeah, I don't actually care about the details. Like I see that this is imperfect here, but it almost adds to the illustration and adds to the spirit of Holi than like taking away from it.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah, we can often sweat the details, can't we? I remember years ago, we had a photographer on, Demis Russley it was actually, and he was sort of zoomed in, and then he did something really quick, like a dirty trick, basically. I think I called it at the time.
Yeah.
Where he kind of cloned someone and then flipped them around, but then changed the lighting and then like changed their head or something like that, and went cool, done, and moved on. It took him about 8 seconds or something. And I sort of said, oh, that was really interesting how quick you did that. But then he zoomed out and he said, look, this, I know I'm not printing this and putting this on a wall. This is going to Instagram.
Yeah.
And you're probably talking a couple of hundred pixels here. He said, you can't see
absolutely.
it. You can't see the detail on Instagram because it compresses the pixels anyway. So he said, I could spend an hour making this perfect, but no one's ever going to see it except for in the original file. And I just really like that because I absolutely do the opposite. I'll spend too long on something and never publish it.
Yeah, I think it's like important to remind yourself, like this goes with any kind of creation of designs, ideas, sketches, illustrations, strategy, like thinking about like goes back to like your target audience and the platform that you're using. So like, I think it's like important. And like this kind of like, I always give the example of like going back to the mood board where I'm like, am I even like following the guidelines that I set myself out to do, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm just like making some colors here, so I thought I'd like to do that. Let's see. I think this is good variation. All right, so I think we're done with this. I'm just gonna group this a little bit, and then I've like created these two assets here, and then maybe like the one thing that is like very reminiscent of Holi is like this thing that's called. I'm actually gonna type it out here so people can read. These are all Hindi names of it, but it's called Pichkari, which is basically like a water tube that you can almost like wear it as a backpack. And it's like reminds me of like a very childhood memory where I would like wear it as a backpack to have it water filled, and like there would almost be like a way to propel the water out if you put like almost like a syringe situation where you would propel it out, and that would just like throw water on people. And I like it was just like a fun thing you would do as like
sounds
a
like
child.
Kids would really enjoy that.
Yeah, it used to be a lot of fun. I have done that growing up, and there used to be like water balloons as well. That was like such a fun like activity to do. Just like growing up,
throwing water balloons.
This almost like takes me back, and I'm like so happy that we're doing this.
That's so cool.
Because I haven't celebrated Holi, like the playing with the colors and the water, for a while. So this is very, very nice.
So when I look it up, when I do my little research on it, it seems like big kind of color festival and people throwing colors at each other and in the air and things like. Is that something that you experienced as well? And what's like the smaller scale of that? Because that seems like a lot of the photos you'll see, it'll be thousands or tens of thousands of people.
I'll tell you what the smaller and more personal scale of that is. The more personal scale of that is me waking up my brother with colors in my hands and then telling him happy Holi and just like smashing it on his face everywhere. It almost used to be like a festival, like you would just like prank your siblings with it. That's like just so personal.
I love that. It's your first
and
thing
my
that
brother
you
was
thought of.
not a fan. I think I traumatized him by that.
Younger brother, I assume.
Older brother.
Older brother. Wow. You're tough.
it is a fun time.
That's incredible.
But that's what we have. I just like want to showcase how easy it was to make this, like just with basic shapes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just doing that here. Okay. And then I send it back. I do want to showcase like this one thing that's like out of color gamut, and you always get this warning whenever you're working in Illustrator. So it's not necessarily because I'm in the RGB color space, it's just telling me that, oh, this is not actually the color that will show. So maybe you should change it.
Right.
And pick a better color. So thanks, Illustrator. Oh, I do want to
Covered.
change these. Change these. Yeah, Illustrator has got you covered for sure. I think the matte thing that Illustrator does is so cool as well. I think I like this color combination better. Okay, yeah. All right. I'm gonna write this name over here as well for folks watching. If you do want to look it up, if you want to go ahead and um look it up in the future. And if you're watching the replay, you can just look up these words and find relevant content for it and like more information.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we can possibly cover all this in one stream. Sorry, the perfectionist in me wants to align everything. There we go. Okay.
Once you aligned one, you had to do them all. But if you didn't align one, it would have been fine. I don't think.
I know.
Would have blinked.
I know. I know.
I did look up the
Okay.
dollar, but I couldn't see a different word. So maybe in English it's just dollar.
It could be.
Sometimes has
It
a
could be the
K
case.
after it, so maybe it's just slightly.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's the whole. Oh, where did my? That is weird. Yep, it could be this as well. It's either or. You can change it. All right. So what I want to do now is actually create an invite. It's like 15 minutes into the stream, so I feel like it's like a good time to create something static here. But I do want to do this in Adobe Express because I want to animate things. So why don't we like go jump into Adobe Express? It's at new.express.adobe.com. I'm gonna start a new project, and I'm gonna say maybe like a flyer. So 8.5 by 11 inches. I'm gonna name this file just because I can, and it's all over the web. So
I
I
always
need to
forget
care
to
about
name my
like
file in.
I've
Express.
had one too many untitles.
Yeah, okay, it's not just me. I need to force myself to do that before I do anything
Yeah.
else.
So these words may be gibberish for people who don't understand Hindi, but it only means like coming together for celebrating Holi. It says Rang Milan, and Rang literally translates to color, and Milan is like coming together. So it's like just like almost like an anagram where you can say these two words and everyone knows what it
Right.
means. There's this Adobe font that I really like. I'm not sure if it'll be available here in Adobe Express. It's BD Caramel. But if it isn't, then we can just like copy paste the shapes here. I am not sure if it is, but we will see. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why that's the case.
Hmm.
That is interesting. Maybe it's because it's it's a variable font. That makes so much sense. So right now, Adobe Express does not support variable fonts, but I do really want to use this one. So maybe I can showcase like two use cases where there are variable fonts used and where there's regular fonts used. Because if you are someone who uses Adobe Illustrator a lot and you do want to use variable fonts because you've been doing it for a long time, I feel like this would be perfect for you. So I just like changed the leading a little bit because it was too big. I think whenever I have like any point size, I go like 6 to 7 points. So maybe I'll do like 92 here. And then if you want to do it manually, you can press option down arrow to increase it, option up arrow to decrease it. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a neat shortcut here. But if you did want to paste it, I'm going to press Command C and then go back here and press Command V, and it's right here. So while you paste it, it pastes as an image, which is why this looks a little pixelated. So a fix for that would be actually going to a Creative Cloud library, which is under Window, Libraries, and then it obviously popped up somewhere else on my screen.
Down
Oh,
the
here it
bottom.
is. I didn't
Yeah.
even, yeah. I didn't even see it. I just defaulted to my different screen. I'm like, maybe it is somewhere there.
It always happens with streamers and content creators. They're like,
Yeah.
where have my windows gone? They're always on like the
Yeah.
other screen, or they're like above or behind.
I have a question for you. Are you someone who has like floating panels, or you have everything docked in any of the tools that you
Floating.
use?
I'm floating.
Same
panels.
here. I love
wish
this.
I was docked. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm in my heart a docked panel person, but in practice, I'm never. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm moving
Yeah.
windows out of the way to do things and then moving them back. And then, it's
No, I
not
get
good.
it. Oh, that's interesting that it didn't pop up there, but let's outline this type. I'm going to go to type, create outlines, wherever that is. Sometimes I use shortcuts so much that I just forget where the actual thing
Oh,
exists.
absolutely.
Okay, this has been placed in the library, and I'm gonna go back to Adobe Express. This is a library that I have. It might take a few seconds to refresh itself because I just added that, but it's right here. And we'll see how long it takes. Maybe it needs like a
Sometimes it
refresh of the
takes a minute.
page too.
You are streaming at the
Yeah,
same time. Sometimes it takes a little bit of
yeah. I'm gonna refresh this page
the
just in
juice.
case. Whoa, that's big. Okay. And then here we go. It's the graphic here. So I'm gonna drag it out. You can also click on it and it's gonna add on your page. It's taking its okay, here we go. And you see that the link here means that it's like an asset that's linked in your Adobe Illustrator file. And immediately you see the difference because this was the copy pasted version, and that's not the most optimal way to place an artwork into any file. Be it Illustrator, Photoshop, Adobe Express, goes for everyone of these apps. So I'm going to delete this one. This one is the library asset that I placed, and this is the right way to do it. So we're doing it the right way. And here we have.
Looks 10 times better.
Yeah, absolutely. This is still vector. So if I go in here into the library and double click on this artwork, I can go in here and change the color of this. So maybe I can do that here quickly. So I can show you how that reflects in my Adobe Express project. So maybe I just like darken it a little bit, right? And then I'm going to press Command S or Control S if you're working on a Windows device. And then here it will pop up. Your linked assets have changed because I changed it in Illustrator. If I click on Update now, it's going to change the color soon. It was very light. It was a very slight change. So, here we go. It's changing. I changed here. Is it changing it? Oh, it's downloading. It's doing its thing. It's on the cloud. It's trying. Okay, while that's happening, let's go back and add some of these illustrations in here as well because I want to use them. So I'm gonna add all of these so I can use them in Adobe Express.
Do you have to
And
group
then
them
this
all
is
together? Or, I mean, they look like they were grouped anyway, but
they were grouped.
You need to
Yeah,
group
you can choose not to group them if you wanted to animate them almost.
right.
Then you could choose not to group them and then like assemble them almost again in Adobe Express. But I do want to have them like as grouped. Oh, internet is not working, so it's like taking its time to update. But maybe I can just click on it again and it's like gonna do its thing. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so it's taking a while for this one to update, but typically it does it. Maybe it's because I'm streaming, that's why it's giving me this
It's
cloud
definitely-
icon right
yeah,
now.
Definitely.
But this is the updated asset and I didn't have to add it again, so that's like something. As you can see, all of these are still loading, but I still want to. Oh, what? That was a weird error. That was an interesting error. I was like, oh,
It came and
what's
went
happening
really
here?
quick. I didn't see it. I didn't
Yeah,
read
it was just like you don't have access to this because I don't know. I didn't read the leftover part, but I'm just gonna add some shapes here while that happens and loads. Let's give this a no fill, and then I'm gonna make it bigger. Now with everything, ooh,
it popped up again.
it popped up. Yeah. Whoa,
It's catching
my
up.
internet's. Oh, placed it too many times. Okay, here we go. And then I'll maybe want to like do this. And with like Holi and all the things that happens, I don't actually like the shape. Maybe do circle. With Holi, like the colors go everywhere because it's like powder and it has like dye in it. So the idea with this design that I had in my mind was like almost like it's gonna go everywhere. So why don't place assets like in almost a haphazard manner and make it work?
That's cool. Good
so it'll
excuse
still have
that you
like
can just kind of
just
go
let it
wild.
flow.
Yeah.
Just let it flow. Okay, that's what we're calling it. We're not calling it going wild.
Let it flow.
We're following all the design principles here.
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna follow type hierarchy as well, but we're just having fun with it. You gotta know the rules to make the rules, right? Break
That's
the
true.
rules, make the rules. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, and then I wanna maybe like zoom in a little bit. Here, maybe like make it smaller, and then copy that here. And it works like the same way. If I delete this, an option hold and drag, click and hold and drag, it's going to create a copy. But you can right click, and there's a right click menu, which is cool. There's a new feature that recently came to Adobe Express that I want to showcase, which I will showcase actually. I can showcase with this because if you're sending like a digital invite to someone, and you want to send like a location to them, you can almost add the Google Maps location in it because now Adobe Express supports hyperlinks. So if you have this text,
Yeah.
maybe like a text that you added here, let's say this was your text, and then you right click on it, it says link options, and now you can add a link. So maybe I can add like my Instagram here, and if I wanted to point someone to that, add your text is now like a link, and if I export it as like a PDF document here, it's gonna still have that. So that's a new, like,
Oh, that's
my most
interesting.
favorite feature.
And does
Yeah,
that work if you send it to someone on a phone? Like, here's the
it does.
these
If it's a
phones
PDF file,
understand the
then
PDFs.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gonna try that one
Yeah,
out.
yeah, it's a good one. I have been wanting this feature for the longest time, so I feel like whenever someone asks me how do I get this feature, there's this like button here which says submit feedback, and you can submit your feedback. It like takes you to the user voice, which is actually where I put in this feature request like a while ago, and then they have like people upvoting those things, and like the more people want it, the more like priority it has.
Yeah.
So put your thoughts in there, and I would say just like go for it because there are people looking at it. It's not as if nobody's looking at it. So yeah,
Yeah,
proof
that's
right
the
here.
main place I think for all apps that most of the
Yeah,
feedback is gathered. I remember seeing a while ago sort of feedback on. We were talking about Reddit earlier. I remember like
yeah,
graphic design Reddit. People were talking about this. Why isn't
yeah.
there this feature? And it's like, well, send it. Go over to user voice, copy and paste everything you've just said here, and
Mm-hmm.
plop it there because that's where people actually are
Yeah,
monitoring, and a lot of that gets turned into action.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I'm just making some shapes here because I want to populate this with information. I do feel like I picked the wrong fonts because they're both variable fonts. I may not be able to like type those things out here, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I also don't like these colors, so I know what's happening. We'll see. We'll just go with it. Okay, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe this needs to change though. This is too dark. Okay, yeah, that's
Feeling
not
better
that's not
about
bad.
that.
Yeah, that's better. I'm not mad about that. Okay, and now I want to like populate it with like some information here. Maybe I bring this flower. Oh my god, press the wrong. I always press this like bring to front shortcut that I
Oh,
know
me
in
too.
Illustrator. It's
Illustrator.
like Command Shift and like the square
And it
bracket,
goes
and
to
it
your
just like
next
switches the
window.
tab.
Oh, the tab, yes. Oh my gosh, Anika, I do it all the time.
So like, I don't know what I did, but it was wrong.
There's another thing that I do, which is a gesture that I have set up on
Yeah,
my, because I work with
yeah,
a trackpad. I never use a mouse,
yeah,
and I gesture across, and every now and then I'll accidentally do it in a web page, and
yeah.
it's the back button. It goes
Mm-hmm.
reload the previous window, and some things
Yeah.
like I'll be filling in a form or something, and I'll accidentally
That's
brush my trackpad, go back, and you
no.
can just hear me
That
screaming
is,
from like
yeah.
houses across in the street. Like,
That's the worst. I
oh,
think
it's
like
the
with
worst
forms,
feeling.
it's like so hard to. I'm like, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that that is too real. Okay, let's see what output this is. I have clicked on it, so I'll just wait for it to load. But while that's loading, maybe I can start with animation features. But how about we create a copy of this so we're not ruining the existing page? Um, Okay, so I think a lot of people might be aware of this, but just in case you haven't ever used animation features in Adobe Express, there's some really cool animation features here. You can add in, looping, and out animation presets using Adobe Express. This is also available on the phone app, which is actually fairly new. You can sign up for the public beta, which is out. Um, so there's like bungee, drift. One of my favorites is fade because it's like not too jarring to watch, and even pop is fine if you like change the duration. Oh, change the duration almost. So I increase the duration, decrease the intensity, make it soft, and like that still makes it like very very big. That's too much. Too much. Let's use fade. Okay, that's like nicer on the eye. But here we have our text popped up. Now I'm curious to see, because I duplicated this page, I'm curious to see if it popped up on both the pages or just one page. So I don't know. This is gonna be a surprise. Oh, so the most active page, it had that one pop up. That's fair. That's how my brain would work. So that's cool. I can appreciate smart things.
It's one of my. I cannot wait for more animation options to come up. I think the ones
Yeah.
are awesome, and it's amazing what you can do with
Yeah.
not that many. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't wait for like a whole nother, because I feel like the animation is like one of those really key things for Adobe Express. Because if you traditionally, quote unquote, like static designer,
Yeah.
and most of the stuff you do, it's so easy to bring your assets from Illustrator in and then just
Yeah.
animate something quickly, or take something that's always intended to be static and then give it a new life a little bit. Like, well, we could just add in a couple of subtle animations and then suddenly it's moving. And it's so good for social media, and it's so good for sending, things in,
Absolutely.
text and things like that. And it's just, you can do it in a couple of minutes.
I actually love that you said that, because we're gonna do just that. And with the color aspect, that I didn't actually love the colors. I love that you have effects in Adobe Express. So you can go ahead, even though this was like a library asset here. We know that this is a library asset that we got. It says linked asset right here. I can go ahead and change the color of this and match it to maybe the purple that we have here. And if you add like a duotone effect, it's going to pick up the first one. But if you change the shadows and highlights to the same color, it is going to give you that color. So here we go. It's like the same color now.
Nice.
I don't know if I like the look of this hole here, so I'm just going to replace that, just because I don't know if that matches our color palette. But I'm going to bring this up here on top. And that's almost like I'm using these pitchkaris almost, or the water things, as like a pointer to the information that I think is important. So that is still following the design hierarchy here. All right, and I think the last thing that I want to do is like add more information. But since we are almost 30 minutes in, I do want to highlight the templates as well. So why don't we jump into animation features, and then we can come back to it if we have time. But this is where I would put my date, venue, time, three things that's important, RSVP, and what the festival or whatever you're celebrating is. For us, it's Holi. So we're saying celebrate togetherness and love. While we do that, I actually want to showcase one little thing before we jump into animation features. I actually want to type something here to show. Since this is mainly for people who understand Hindi, for instance, or something, or a festival that's very niche to your region, I would say rather. If there are like some of the things that you want to say in your native language or something, and you were wondering if Adobe Express can do something like that, it can. So since this was a linked asset, it won't be able to use translation features. But since this is not a linked asset, and I just wrote it here, I'm just using a random font here just to showcase this really quickly. But let's say this was the font, the one in purple that I had for this, and I wanted to convert this to a different language. Here's this little translate button, and you can see that it was English, the language that was detected for the text that we have here on the screen, all of it. But since these are linked assets, according to me, it shouldn't change the text here because it doesn't read as text to Adobe Express. But we'll see how that works. I've never done this before. So I'm going to look up Hindi. But before we do that, I want to showcase all the languages that are available. It's a checkbox. So you can actually say Greek, Gujarati, Hindi, Hungarian, whatever languages you want to change it to, you can. For our purposes, I'm going to do Hindi and French because I understand French. So that'll just help us.
I forgot that you understand French too.
And then duplicate and translate will actually like duplicate this page. I don't know, Flynn, if you've ever used this, but it actually duplicates this page.
I've
so
seen it before. I haven't done it myself, but I've seen someone use it before. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So this was our initial page. These are our two created copies, which has everything in the same place. It even has the animation that we added, but this says the same thing in Hindi. And then if we go here, this says the same thing in French, which is pretty cool.
How did it do?
It did very well, actually.
Right.
Okay. This has like all the grammar on it is actually perfect. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And even here, I think sometimes the fonts that you're using, like the default fonts, it says Tomaric Brush, which is the font that it has. And this one has this one as well.
Right.
So all of like they have all the glyphs, which is pretty cool. And Adobe Express did it on its own. I did not have to do any of this by myself. I didn't have to tell it to change the fonts to find the glyphs. So yeah, all of it works. I just wanted to showcase that before we dive into it because I think it's like such a cool thing. But let's do some more animation, shall we? Okay. What kind of animation should I add to this? Do you have
which one are we
an
adding
opinion
to?
on?
Which one do you have?
Well,
selected?
it's this one.
Oh yeah.
On the top left. Maybe you can. Ooh, no.
I think 'cause that's changing the point.
Yeah.
I feel like if it comes in from the side, or do you want a looping animation?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe we can do slide.
Because then it's pointing to the.
Yeah. Let's do a subtle slide. So I almost wanted to come after the text. So I increase the duration. I think duration is really important when you. Yeah, that's cool. And then I actually, I don't want to do this again, so I'm gonna do a hack where I just do animate one of these and then like flip the slide animation. So since this is sliding in from the left, I'll just duplicate this guy here and then flip it around and then go to slide in and do a right to left. And I don't need to do any of that to this guy. So I'll just I'll just bring this little object here and then bring it to top. So I don't need to do all of it like all over again. And here we have like these two things. And then obviously you have these little flower things. I'm gonna zoom into that. And then maybe I just want like a fade in animation to that, which is I'm gonna keep it at default. And maybe I want like a spin on it. Like, oh yeah.
Spin looks great.
Yeah. I think some of these presets are like, even if you leave them at their default, they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you have never used any of the animation features before, if you are my dad, for instance, he has never used any of the animation features and he wants to send his friends a happy Holi greeting or a happy Diwali greeting or maybe happy Easter because it's Easter tomorrow. You can actually use Adobe Express for all of this. And if you've never done this before, I think it is great to even just like dive into it just for fun too. Like, yeah.
Totally. And just adding a little bit of animation for anything you see on the internet just makes it so much more. I know the word is used all the time, but it makes it much more engaging.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so much better when you add animation to it. I think I'm gonna delete this one and then I'll just like make a fade in just so that everything fades in. And if you notice carefully, I'm only using like a couple of animation presets here and not all of them. Just because everything's available to you doesn't mean you should use all of it.
I think
like
that's the
in
trick.
One design.
I think that's the trick here, because otherwise
Yeah.
you kind of get everything distracting you and kind of taking away.
Absolutely.
It's hard
Yeah.
not to do though, because you think, oh, I'll just add something to everything. But
Yeah, it's hard not to do, but I think that's the trick. Let's go ahead and play through it and see how that looks. I think I like that. I just don't like the duration of this. So maybe I can like make this slower. As I increase the duration, it comes in slower. So let's see how that looks. There's a little bit of playthrough here for the timeline. You can click on show layer timeline, and if you have multiple objects here, you can change and adjust it. I didn't plan to do this, but I will show how you can add stock audio to this as well. So I can increase this timeline to maybe like 10 seconds or something. And since this is a digital invite that you're sending it out on whatever platform you use, maybe use Instagram to send invites, you use WhatsApp, which is super popular in my home country, which is India. A lot of my friends and family use WhatsApp to like do something like this, where you would just export it, click on download, and then you click on MP4, which is the format that you want. You can change the video resolution to be 720, original, 180, 1080 pixel, and 4K. Let's use original.
Wow.
Yeah, 4K.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It does export in that. And once you click on start, like download, it's going to start download and you can bring it to your phone and just send it out on WhatsApp, which I think is pretty cool because not a lot of apps let you do that. And you can customize every single aspect of this, which I think is which was my selling point. Like, I love that it's so customizable. You can change colors, you can change animation, you can go back to it, you can make all these changes and like make variations of it too. So if you wanted to send the same design to your friends and also your family, but have a little bit of a different element, maybe you can just change colors and it's still different, like I think that's what attracts me so much to this.
Yeah.
But it is downloading. It says, in the meantime, start a new file. And this is cool too, because this lets you also tell the team what you like, or how satisfied are you. I'm like, I'm satisfied. And if you want to create like more feedback, if you're dissatisfied, for instance, if there's something that's bothering you, or you're frustrated about something, you can choose any of this on the scale and say leave more feedback, which I think is cool. All
Yeah.
right. So why don't we jump into templates? I know we have like 15 minutes and I really do want to showcase the templates. So,
Cool.
but I also want to dive into our content plan to see where we're at with that. So we did illustrations here. We did design for the Holi party invite. I didn't show generative recolor, but maybe we can do that quickly in 1 minute here. We did the happy Holi greeting. We did the translate feature and then used it in our design. We didn't do resize. We did animation. So let's do generative recolor and resize, and then we'll go to the templates.
Cool.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me. A reminder, yeah, so we've got about 15 minutes left. So if you've got any questions for Anika as we're going along, don't hesitate to throw them in chat. Just hang out.
Absolutely, yeah. I love to get questions. I always love questions.
What's
Okay,
your,
so
I've got
I just
a question, very quick question.
Yeah.
What's your method of getting something from your computer to your phone? Like if you were going to, because you were talking about
this is
getting
gonna
that
bother
video.
so many people.
Yeah, I'm here for
This is
it.
gonna bother so many people. But I am an Apple fan, so all my products are Apple. So I just airdrop it to
AirDrop's pretty
myself,
amazing,
or
yeah.
I just like airdrop it to myself or save it to like my desktop, and I just open my files on my phone. So I don't even have to airdrop sometimes. Like if it's a bigger file or something, I would just like do that and save it in a particular folder.
Yeah. What about
How do you do
links?
it?
I do AirDrop if I'm going from, I use Mac and PC, so I have to have both set up. So I use Dropbox if it's going PC to phone and vice versa. But what about links? So for example, I did a post today about this stream, and I use Slack to send a link to myself and then copy that link on my phone, and that's how I get the actual hyperlink. What's your link strategy?
I do the same thing because with AirDrop and AirPlay, you can actually copy text as well.
Yeah.
So I would copy the link on, if you're on the same Wi-Fi network, you can copy text. So I would copy the link on my, press Command C on my desktop and then Command V, which is funny. You asked me this question today because I tried to do that before the stream and it didn't do it for me.
Right.
It just like it was glitching out and I couldn't do that. So that was interesting. But yeah.
I have to look in how to do that. I don't know how to airdrop a text.
It's just AirPlay. So if you have AirPlay on both your machines, you should be able to do that.
Right,
if you just copy and then paste it on your other device.
Homework. Okay.
Yeah. But here we have, I just generated some of these really cool color palette. Oh, whoa. I went out of canvas bounds. Here we are. This is so tiny. Okay, this is the original color palette. And I hit reset. That was the original color palette. And I just selected a prompt, salmon sushi, which is like one of the most used and the first prompt that we have, and it just instantly gave me these color palettes, and I wish I'd done this before because I like so many of these. But if you are like me and if you're learning from my mistakes, go ahead and do this in Illustrator before you bring them in Adobe Express. But it only worked well because this had a good contrast between them. So it does like work on some of the values and hues that you have originally, and that's how you can like generate all of this. Maybe you want like summer ocean, maybe that's like one of your prompts, and that's what the colors you want. You can do that, and like I think this kind of signifies that as well. But that's generative recolor, and we can jump back to Adobe Express now.
Nice.
I love it.
Very cool.
Okay. Resize. I've actually never used resize on animation, so this will be interesting, and I'm curious to know how the product behaves with that. You can maybe make like an Instagram story of this too. If you just wanted to like put it on your story, it's like a very public event. You're not just someone who's doing it at your house. So maybe I want to say resize, and it just resized it. And I didn't have to change anything. It was pretty quick. I'm going to undo that because I know, Flynn, you were not looking. So I'm going to undo that.
Busted. I was reading chat. Yeah, go on.
Just casually calling Flynn out.
I love
but
it.
I have this and I have this resize button right here.
Right.
And I actually undid that because I forgot to click on duplicate and resize, and I just clicked on resize.
I was going to say.
So it did not retain the size that I had. But you can actually go and click on Instagram story and Instagram square post as well. And I'm going to click on duplicate and resize this time. and I didn't have to change any of the like locations or anything of this like positioning. All of it is done by default. Adobe Express does that for you, and it's like still perfect. The text is scaled, the shapes are scaled, animation still works, and that's beautiful. I love it.
It's pretty good when it's a totally different aspect ratio.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think the older version didn't have this feature, but it's like the newer version does everything for you. But with that said, with only 10 minutes to go, I do want to jump into templates, which is our last thing to cover today. And I'm so glad that we're done with the content plan. So that's cool. But if you go to the homepage, you will see this fun little animation with this text on top. It says explore the Holi template collection. Let's click on that and see what we have. And as soon as I click on it, the templates tab in the navigation panel on the left um, opens up. It says get started with a template. You can browse static, video, and multiple page templates in a range of styles. Now, these templates were designed by someone. They are also a designer. It may not be one person, it's probably a lot of people, and a whole team dedicated to just designing these templates. So it makes your life easy. So you can use these on the mobile beta app as well as on the desktop. And some of these are pretty cool. I like this one here. It says Happy Holi just in Hindi. There's a color splash and it says Happy Holi. And there's our little friend that I also created. And I love this because it has like all of this animation. There are some more here. So it doesn't necessarily, I'm going to add like a new page just so that we can add more templates. I have like this, which is very intriguing to me. It says Green Holi Brochure. So I want to like add this as a page here and see what comes up. Embracing empathy and compassion. I feel like this has such a wide variety of templates here because I won't even think that Adobe Express would have something like this. You know, like for Holi, I would just like assume almost that it would only have greetings or invites or something on the grounds of that, but never something like an organization would be able to use. Like it says nurturing resolutions for change. And I love this because, like I said, Holi is like celebration of new life, harvest, celebration of spring, change. It signifies like all of this, and this is like the movement for change. It's a good cause, and it's still under a Holi template because it's what the festival signifies. And I feel like this organization probably wanted to do something, you know how like everyone it's like culturally significant almost, but also relevant to what their brand values are. So if you are a brand as well, you can come to Adobe Express and find all of these things as well. And this I think I really like because it has like color here and then all of this information, which is super cool. Is there anything that jumps out to you, Flynn? Maybe I can bring that in and add some music to that. I'm gonna scroll through, and you can let me know when to stop.
Okay. Yeah, the really colorful one. I like
this one.
Yeah. Any of the ones that have like.
Okay. Any color one. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, like the either digitally or photographically, just the tons of color.
Okay. Really yeah. Cool. Maybe this one. Holi for Hope.
Like just the entire spectrum of color.
Yeah. This one is cool. This one is cool. I really like this. I do want to change this color though, so I'm gonna go to effects and I'm gonna change the color. Sorry to whoever made this, but I just don't like it. But that's the beauty of templates, because if you don't like something, you can make it your own. And if you have the premium version, you can. And that's pretty cool. So here's like a color splash, and I just wanted this to be like white because I thought the color was really interfering with it. And then this is cool. And now I can go ahead and animate this as well with the animation features. So since this is a brochure, it's not exactly sized the way that I want it to be. So maybe I can resize and see how Adobe Express behaves for that. Maybe I'll like put a flyer and an outrageous sizing. Like, why would you change this landscape thing to a flyer, right?
A lot. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually a very well job, because I would think that it would like go haywire, but this is actually cool. It's not as readable because it's still like tiny.
Pretty much just shrank it down. But it's probably, it's a good start, right? Like it saves you the trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is good. We can change this too. Just also, why would you make it as an Instagram? Yeah. Why would you make it as an Instagram? Like with so much text, that doesn't make sense. That's just outrageous. But I feel like this is still like such a good start because it still like has negative space, which points to our main text, which is Holi for Hope. And I think that is super cool. I do want to add some animation to it before we add some music to it. And let's add animation to the background. I think I want to do like jitter. Okay, we can do jitter, but it shows the white spaces. So maybe we can decrease the speed first of all, and then intensity too. And then I want to like make this bigger. Wait, can I make this bigger? What's going on here? Oh,
Did you have
click
to
on
do it
reframe.
before you? Oh, it's
Yeah,
like,
it was added as a background,
right.
so it won't let me. But if I click on reframe, it should. So let's see what happens. Oh, it's because it's added as a background. Can I? Okay, I can detach the page background and then make it like a shape, so I can make it like fill up the whole space. And then since my layers panel, I think it was like attached to it, so it would like crop it almost to the sizing.
Yeah, it was almost
it's like
image in a shape or something.
Yeah, it was like almost like an invisible clipping mask of sorts. But now that I have it here and I still have the animation attached to it, let's see what happens if I like play it. I can't see anything. It's too small.
Might be too big or too small. Either way. Yeah.
Let's increase. Let's make it crazy. Ooh, okay. That's actually crazy, but it still looks good.
That's good. I like it.
I like the effect. Okay, and then we can do like a quick animation here, which is just like maybe it's like an in animation, like a fade in. Yeah, okay. I like that. I almost just default to fade in almost. I feel like sometimes I should change that. It's like one of those things, like I just default to purple and yellow at all times. Like if you notice today, I did the same thing. Like I just default, like the first thing that I picked was purple and yellow, and the first thing that I did here was also purple and yellow. So it's like default to color.
We fall back on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this looks good. And the one thing that I said that I would do was adding Adobe stock music, which I think is super cool. I do want to go here and say go to media and then go to audio. I don't know if there is any Holi audio here, but I'm gonna still look it up. We didn't find anything, but maybe I can find like vibrant music. It says vibrant and upbeat indie pop. This is all. If you have the premium version, you can actually license it this way. So if you click on this, it's gonna add it to your frame here. I am gonna decrease the volume. I'm not sure if it'll play through because I don't know if I'm sharing my sound here, but I will still click on play and see if like my head, if my mic picks it.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not picking it up because it's only playing in my ears. But if you, this gives you an opportunity to do it yourself and see what it is. Because I totally planned this. But you can go ahead and like add, if you wanted like lo-fi music, there's like tons to choose from, and this is what I default to whenever I'm creating something on Instagram. So maybe you can do like study lo-fi beat, and then if you wanted to change the duration of this, you could as well. So if you didn't want it to be on the whole duration of the text or whatever design you have, you can decrease that here as well. So you can like increase or decrease this sound here. You can also do voiceovers. So if you wanted, you can go to media and you can say record voiceover, and you can record anything. I can do it live too. So it's picking up my mic, which is my Yeti stereo microphone. And if I wanted to say Holi for hope and like just be very cinematic about it, I can say this. Starting recording. Holi for hope. Join the cause.
Nice.
And then you can actually play. And it is playing in my ears. I'm sorry that you can't hear it, but I did record it. And if you do it, like it's like just another way to personalize your post or your invite. But I think that does it. Is there anything else we can talk about? I don't know how much time we have.
That takes us to time. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
I love that, going out with the voiceover. Holi for hope. It's great.
It's actually perfect because it's like that's the messaging that we want to put out in the world anyway. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, this has been fantastic. And yeah, we've done so much, covered so many things. I hope you guys enjoyed it, whether you're watching live or on demand as well. And wherever you are in the world, happy Holi. And I hope you enjoyed this stream. And thank you so much, Anika.
Thank you so much for having me again. I always love having you as my host, and I always have a good time. So I'm glad to be here and help out.
Always have a great time with you too. Thank you so much, Anika. I'm sure we'll have you back again very, very soon. Goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Adobe Live.
Bye.